Hi, I'm Dr. Susanna Menis and I'm a law lecturer at Birkbeck School of Law. I'm really pleased to be doing this video as part of the Birkbeck Inspires series. In this video, I'm going to tell you the story of Eliza, the university law student. The aim of this story is to understand Eliza's options and experience as a middle-class young woman within the wider context of the period she lived in. For the 19th century Eliza, attending university lectures was not a usual practice. As late as 1899, male students were still challenging women's admission to university on the ground of their intellectual inferiority. Eliza was 22 when she started attending lectures at UCL, University College London. According to the 1871 census, she was lodging at the house of a retired barrister in a small village near London, possibly teaching his niece chemistry. Attendance at university lectures was not the obvious choice for a middle-class young woman. Eliza's female contemporaries were expected to find a suitable match and settle into home domesticity. Eliza might have had similar aspirations. By that time, her three older sisters were already married and had several children. However, the country's social-political turmoil in which Eliza grew up in meant that she was familiar with the restless struggle between those challenging social hierarchies and those reluctant to let go traditional myth of social order. She must have been aware of the campaigns related to women franchisement. A few years later, her mother signed John Stuart Mill's petition advocating women's suffrage. Her mother also joined the London National Society for Women's Suffrage in 1867. However, the fact that Eliza could actually walk into UCL, perhaps through its back doors initially, and possibly sits in its newly built Slade School lecture hall, should not be taken for granted. This was a privilege which was only about 1 year old. Whilst previously allowing women to attend public lectures at all was made available in few instances only in public places accessible also to women at the discretion of the professors. However, widening higher education to women should be understood within the bigger context of improving education generally and specifically to middle-class women. In fact, Eliza was not a stranger to institutional education. As a girl, she attended Bedford College, which was opened in 1849, out of the dissatisfaction of the small, privately run and expensive boarding colleges for girls. Education for middle-class girls was not unusual. However, joining an institution such as Bedford College, which epitomized the socio-political conflict in relation to women's social position, must have been a challenging family decision to take. We know that Eliza's mother was a suffrage activist, but just a few years earlier, Eliza's auntie was immortalized by her husband, Coventry Patmore, as the ideal lady, the angel in the house. This conflicting home environment reflected current public debate. Family guidebooks explain that women's civic duty is in the nurturing and education of the younger generation. The media also contributed to the debate by suggesting that women such as Eliza's mother disturbed the whole relations of social life. However, social hierarchies were challenged. For example, Margaret Millen wrote that marriage cannot any longer stand as the only credible method of retaining women's place in society. For this reason, she said, women's full recognition as citizens, hence enjoying both rights and duties, should be allowed. Eliza must have found this conflict tedious. It is known that during this period, the social and psychological pressure to appear as a model wife, mother and daughter was immense. However, the insistence on the ideal of womanhood did not sit well any longer with the reality faced by many young middle-class women. Proper education was now essential to allow the opening of employment opportunities for the increasing number of women who would never marry. No doubt, as custom dictated, Eliza's father would provide her financially anyway. The family had a distillery business and very successful. However, given the challenging dynamic of home economics during this period and the fact that the family house employed 4 female servants according to the census, meant that Eliza would have little to do and spent her time in ideal socializing and sedentary leisuring. Later in life, Eliza contributed an opinion piece to a newspaper, saying that she did not find it an attractive prospect to become one of those women we have long been accustomed to recognize, those women who know nothing of politics or business but are never or ever ready with advice and sympathy on either subject. The Ladies' Education Association had a major role in widening women's access to higher education. In 1861, it convinced UCL to use its premise for the delivery of a whole course of animal physiology. This was a women-only class taken on Saturday at 3 p.m., and 130 women subscribed to it. Middle-class women attended university lectures for a variety of reasons: leisure, entertainment, and even for the prospect of finding a husband. So, to alleviate parents' anxiety for the risk of scandals, 30 minutes gaps between female classes and male classes were arranged, and the women could only enter via the back door entrance. It is not unlikely that Eliza might have had one of these aims in mind. However, she later said in 1886 that English girls do not as a rule have fixed notions of their future, and certainly do not conform to any which may exist in the minds of parents. Perhaps Eliza attended some of the lectures available in 1871 in science or literature. This experience must have been accompanied by concerns such as travelling alone on the train to reach university and acquaintances' views on her spoiled womanhood. On her part, Eliza expressed her opinion clearly, and to the Examiner newspaper she said that she certainly did not feel that she should be labelled with the pejorative term sound-minded woman. She did not approve the practice of women wearing men clothes or being uselessly eccentric. She said that she was merely wearing ordinary bonnet and carrying medium-sized umbrellas. From 1872, Eliza was able to sit in mixed-sex classrooms, but it was only from 1873 that she would have been able to attend classes in jurisprudence, and from 1875 also classes in Roman law. Eliza might have never met the first chair of jurisprudence at UCL, John Austin, but she would study from his textbooks lectures on jurisprudence. It may also be that John Stuart Mill, a friend of Eliza's family and a former student of Austin, encouraged her to attend these classes. She was certainly enthusiastic about studying law, given that she was awarded 3 scholarships. Whatever was Eliza's initial aim in attending university education, it is clear that her goal became more practical. She would need to wait 2 more years to be able to gain a certificate recognizing her studies in law, and 10 additional years for her Bachelor of Law degree, the LLB. However, whether she dreamed to become a lawyer, she did not need a university law degree for that. From an interview given by Eliza, we know that she acted on the advice given to her by John Stuart Mill and 2 university law professors and barrister when she joined the office of a conveyancer as a trainee in 1873. It seems that her pragmatic approach paid off. Commenting on this experience, she said that she was busily employed, finding it both an interesting and profitable employment. Once joining the conveyance office, Eliza made inquiries to see whether she would be able to join the Inns of Courts, which was the common route to enter the legal profession. But perhaps, given the law reputation this training had gained, she was not too disappointed to learn that such a prospect was not available to her. In addition, the common belief was that courts work was a gentleman's job. In fact, Eliza's view was that the occupation of a conveyancer was quite suitable to a woman. Eliza Orme was growing up in exciting times. She might have been expected to find a suitable husband and settle into family life, but other options were open to her too. She did not seem to have taken a consistently active part in the women's suffrage movement. However, the fact that social hierarchies were being challenged in this period meant that her higher education ventures might have met with little parental resistance. Also, like many other young middle-class women, she was faced by the possibility of spinsterhood, being financially supported by her family while spending her days in ideal leisure. The opening of new opportunities for women meant that Eliza could escape this prospect. Eliza never became a lawyer, but perhaps she never intended to become one. Like many of my law students, her success laid in her resilience against the odds. Success for Eliza and for many of my law students must lay in the transforming life experience of taking charge of one's own life. I hope you have enjoyed this. Please find out more by visiting the Birkbeck website on www.bbk.ac.uk.